The day the lawyer came in, the diner went silent. It was the kind of silence you feel more than hear. Heavy still, like the air right before a storm. Sarah stood behind the counter, holding an envelope in both hands. Her fingers were shaking, and a coffee cup she'd been holding a moment earlier lay shattered on the floor. That's when I knew something was about to change. I'd been coming to Marty's diner for years. It was the kind of place you only find in small Texas towns. Faded sign, cracked leather booths, and a bell over the door that rang every time someone came in. The smell of bacon and coffee hit you before you even sat down. We all knew each other in that place. We joked about the weather, argued about football, and ordered the same thing every morning. And everyone knew Sarah. She'd been working there since she was 19. By the time all this happened, she was in her 30s, with 2 kids and a tired smile that somehow still looked kind. She was the kind of person who remembered how you liked your eggs and what mug you always wanted your coffee in. I saw her almost every morning. Always moving, never complaining. Some people just keep a place alive without even trying. Sarah was one of those people. Then there was Mr. Henry Jenkins. He came in every morning too, around 7:30 sharp. Old man, gray hair, worn denim jacket, baseball cap with a faded Texaco logo on it. Always sat by the window, the booth that caught the first bit of morning sun. He was quiet, never talked to anyone much. Ordered the same breakfast every day, black coffee, bacon, and 1 pancake. He'd sit there, eat slow, look out the window like he was watching something far away. You could tell he was lonely. Not sad exactly, just used to being alone. Sarah was the only one who ever really talked to him. She always called him Mr. Henry instead of Sir. It was small, but it mattered. She'd ask if he was doing okay, or if he wanted more coffee. He'd nod or mumble something soft, and she'd smile like it was enough. I used to sit at the counter near the window, so I saw their whole routine play out every day. One morning, something strange happened. He finished eating and reached into his pocket, but then he froze. He patted his jacket, checked again, and sighed. He didn't have his wallet. I could see how embarrassed he was. His shoulders sank. He started apologizing quietly, saying he must have left it at home. Sarah didn't even flinch. She smiled and said, "Don't worry about it, Mr. Henry. You can get me next time." He tried to argue, said he'd come right back, but she just waved her hand and said, "It's just breakfast. Don't sweat it." That was the first time. A few days later, it happened again. This time he looked tired, face pale, eyes heavy. He ordered less food, just coffee and toast. When the bill came, he hesitated again. I saw Sarah pull a few bills from her apron pocket, slide them into the register when no one was looking. She thought nobody noticed. But I did. So did the cook. It became kind of a quiet thing. Every once in a while, she'd pay for his meal. Not every day, but often enough that you knew she was doing it on purpose. Nobody said anything. We all knew Sarah didn't have money to spare. She was raising 2 kids on her own, driving a car that sounded like it might fall apart any second. But she still helped him. I asked her about it once, while she was topping off my coffee. She just shrugged and said, "He reminds me of my dad. Nobody should eat alone if they don't have to." That stuck with me. After that, their mornings kept going the same way. He'd sit by the window. She'd bring him his coffee before he even asked. Sometimes they'd talk. I heard him tell her once that he used to own a gas station outside town. Said after his wife died, things just fell apart. The house got sold, the station got bought out, and he just kind of drifted. He wasn't a drunk or anything like that. Just a man life forgot. Then one day he stopped coming in. At first, no one noticed. Maybe he was sick. Maybe he went to visit family. But after a few days, Sarah started looking at that empty booth more and more. One morning, she came in a little late, hair still damp from rain, and I overheard her telling the cook she'd driven out to the trailer park near the highway trying to see if he was there. But his trailer was empty. A week passed. Then 2. His booth stayed clean and untouched. Sarah still poured an extra cup of coffee every morning and set it on the counter by the window, like maybe he'd walk in. Then one quiet morning, right after the breakfast rush ended, a man in a gray suit walked through the door. He didn't look like anyone we'd ever seen there before. Polished shoes, tie, briefcase. He stopped just inside, scanned the room, then said, "I'm looking for a woman named Sarah." The diner went still. Sarah stepped out from behind the counter, wiping her hands on her apron. "That's me," she said, nervous. The man nodded. "Ma'am, my name is David Miller." I'm an attorney. I represent the estate of a Mr. Henry Jenkins. The name hit her like a slap. She froze. Mr. Henry, she said quietly. The man nodded again. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry to tell you that he passed away about 2 weeks ago. Nobody spoke. Even the air felt heavy. He opened his briefcase and pulled out an envelope. He left this for you. Sarah stared at it like she wasn't sure she should take it. Then she reached out slowly and opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper and a small photo. She unfolded the letter and started reading. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Then her eyes filled with tears. She sat down on the nearest stool. The lawyer cleared his throat softly. Mr. Jenkins wanted you to know how much he appreciated your kindness. He wrote that you reminded him of his late wife. He said you gave him back a bit of dignity when he thought he'd lost it for good. He paused, then added, he also left something else. According to his will, you're now the owner of this diner. Everyone in the room went dead still. I heard a fork clatter against a plate somewhere in the back. Sarah blinked. What? She whispered. The lawyer nodded. He bought it back a few months ago. I think he wanted to make sure it went to someone who'd take care of it. Her voice cracked. I only bought him breakfast sometimes. He smiled a little. Sometimes that's enough, ma'am. She just sat there crying quietly, holding that letter like it was made of glass. The cook, Ray, came out from the kitchen and wiped his hands on a towel. He looked at her and said softly, Guess it's Sarah's diner now. A few of us laughed through tears. It didn't feel like a joke. It felt like something right finally happened in this world. The weeks after that were strange. The papers went through, and sure enough, Sarah became the new owner. She kept everything the same. Same menu, same prices, same red booths. She even fixed the jukebox, so it played again. But she changed one thing, the sign out front. The old one said Marty's Diner. The new one said Sarah's Place. Mr. Jenkins's booth stayed the same. She cleaned it every morning before opening, kept the photo of him sitting by the window with a cup of coffee. Sometimes she'd sit there alone before customers came in, just drinking her own coffee in silence. People from town started showing up more often. Folks who hadn't eaten there in years came back just to see her, to sit in that booth, to be part of whatever it was that story meant. One morning, I watched a young man come in. He looked rough, maybe been on the road a while. He ordered breakfast, ate fast, then realized he didn't have enough cash to pay. I saw him dig through his pockets, mumbling apologies. Sarah smiled, that same soft smile I'd seen before, and said, Don't worry about it. I got it today. The kid looked up shocked. You sure? She nodded. Yeah, I'm sure. And I swear for a second, you could almost feel Henry Jenkins sitting there by the window again, smiling. Over time, things changed a little. Sarah's kids started helping at the diner on weekends. Business picked up. The place felt alive in a way it hadn't before. But she never once forgot where it all started. Every Christmas morning, she closes the diner for 1 hour. Just one. During that hour, she sets out a plate of pancakes and a cup of black coffee at Henry's booth. Nobody sits there. Nobody eats it. It just sits in the morning light until the food goes cold. And when she finally clears the table, she always says the same thing under her breath. Thanks, Mr. Henry. I still eat there most mornings. The coffee's the same, the food's the same. But sometimes when the bell over the door rings, I look up half expecting that old man to walk in again, wearing that faded Texaco cap. He doesn't, of course. But his seat by the window always catches the sun just right. And if you ever pass through that small Texas town and stop at Sarah's Place, you'll probably see her there behind the counter, smiling at some stranger like she's known them forever. If you listen close enough, you might even hear her say, Don't worry about it. I got it today.